Most people think the perfect European retirement means finding the absolute cheapest Mediterranean beach or the prettiest historic town. They are completely wrong. In fact, chasing the cheapest destination is the fastest way to ruin your retirement abroad. The real secret? It's finding the rare countries where your budget, top-tier healthcare and actual residency loopholes perfectly collide. Today we're counting down 4 European destinations, each solving a massive hidden retirement problem. And by country number 1, you are going to look at retiring abroad very differently. Let's start with what might be the most underrated country on the entire continent. Slovenia is probably the least obvious name on this list, and that is exactly what makes it interesting. It is a small country sitting at the intersection of 4 very different European regions: the Alps, the Dinarides, the Pannonian Plain, and the Mediterranean. In practical terms, that means one country can give you snow-capped mountains, emerald green lakes, winding rivers, medieval castles, and access to a Mediterranean-influenced landscape. But Slovenia's biggest retirement advantage may have less to do with scenery and more to do with what you don't have to worry about. It offers a peaceful lifestyle, a strong healthcare system, and an exceptionally safe environment. For someone leaving behind the congestion and high costs of a major Western city, that combination can be more valuable than a postcard view. There is also an important complication for Americans and other non-EU citizens. Slovenia does not offer a dedicated retirement visa in the traditional sense. Long-term stays are generally handled through temporary residence arrangements, often involving a 1-year permit. Applicants need to demonstrate sufficient financial resources, with the source material citing a monthly income requirement of at least around $2,800. Or bank statements showing that they have enough funds to support themselves. And that changes the calculation. Slovenia may not be the easiest option on paper, but if your priority is safety, nature, healthcare, and a quieter European lifestyle, it can offer something many retirees are actually searching for: peace without isolation. But what if you want that peaceful European lifestyle with considerably more sunshine and a true island atmosphere? That brings us to number 3. Cyprus feels almost like 2 retirement destinations in one. Along the coast, you get warm Mediterranean weather, beaches, restaurants, and a relaxed outdoor lifestyle. Move inland and upward, and the landscape changes completely, with cooler mountain areas that can even receive snow during winter. That variety is one reason Cyprus appeals to retirees. You can choose a metropolitan lifestyle in places such as Limassol or Nicosia, or go for something quieter in Paphos or Larnaca. So the decision isn't simply about choosing Cyprus, it is about choosing the version of Cyprus that fits the retirement you actually want. And financially, the numbers make the island particularly interesting. A typical monthly budget can fall somewhere around $1,800 to $2,500, depending heavily on lifestyle and location. Imported goods can be expensive, but local products tell a different story. Fresh produce, olive oil, cheeses and fish can remain relatively affordable, making it easier to build a comfortable Mediterranean lifestyle without treating every meal like a special occasion. That matters because retirement isn't just about surviving on a fixed budget. It is about what that budget allows you to do. If your money covers housing, food, transportation, and everyday expenses with room left over, suddenly the lifestyle changes. You can spend more time outdoors, eat locally, explore the island, and actually enjoy the freedom retirement is supposed to provide. Cyprus also has several residency pathways, including its Category F residence permit and investment-based options, although eligibility and requirements depend on the specific route. Still, Cyprus proves an important point. You don't necessarily need to choose between sunshine and financial practicality. But there is another Mediterranean destination where the scenery becomes even more dramatic. The coastline stretches for hundreds of miles, and the difference between tourist season prices and everyday life can be surprisingly important. If you have ever seen the Croatian Adriatic, you understand immediately why this region attracts so much attention. Dalmatia stretches along much of Croatia's Adriatic shoreline, reaching south toward Montenegro, and it is defined by rocky coastlines, glittering seaside towns, historic architecture, and beaches that look almost unreal in photographs. But retirement here is about more than scenery. Dalmatia combines coastal living with strong road and air connections, a rich cultural heritage, and pleasant weather throughout much of the year. For retirees who want to spend their later years near the sea without completely disconnecting from the rest of Europe, that combination is difficult to ignore. There is, however, a catch that many people discover quickly. Summer changes the economics. During the peak tourist season, prices can rise significantly, particularly in the most popular coastal destinations. But outside that intense summer period, everyday expenses can be lower than what you might encounter in many Western European coastal hotspots. And that creates an interesting retirement strategy. Instead of thinking about Dalmatia as a permanent vacation destination, think of it as a place where you can live year-round while avoiding the most expensive tourist periods. Real estate is another major attraction, although it is certainly not universally cheap. In major hubs such as Split, 3-bedroom condominiums within walking distance of the sea can average around $350,000, while detached houses with direct ocean views can reach roughly $450,000. Those numbers make one thing clear. Dalmatia is not the bargain basement option on this list, but that's not necessarily the point. For a retiree with substantial savings or a larger property budget, paying more for a home near the Adriatic may make sense if the goal is to combine coastal living, European infrastructure, culture, and accessibility. Dalmatia shows that affordability doesn't always mean finding the cheapest possible location. Sometimes it means finding a place where the lifestyle you want is still attainable. But if you want Mediterranean living, Italian food, historic villages, and potentially even more room to shape your retirement around a slower pace, there is one final destination that brings all of those pieces together. At the heel of Italy's boot, Puglia offers a version of Italy that feels very different from the country's most famous tourist centres. Instead of building your retirement around Rome, Florence, Venice, or the most expensive parts of Tuscany, Puglia gives you another possibility. Coastal towns, rural landscapes, historic villages, local food, and a slower Mediterranean rhythm. And this is where the numbers become particularly interesting. Puglia has a mild, semi-arid climate with generally fine weather stretching from April through November. Retirees can choose between several distinct areas. Each one offers a different version of southern Italian life. You could be surrounded by the distinctive countryside of the Valle d'Itria, live closer to the urban activity around Bari, settle near the beaches of Salento, or head north toward the Gargano Peninsula. And unlike some remote retirement destinations, Puglia isn't cut off from the rest of the country. Road connections are strong, local transportation is inexpensive, and daily life can remain relatively practical. Then comes one of the biggest attractions for retirees. A couple can potentially live quite comfortably here for under $3,000 a month, depending heavily on housing choices and lifestyle. That doesn't mean every part of Puglia costs the same, and it certainly doesn't mean luxury living is guaranteed on a fixed budget. But compared with some of Italy's more famous destinations, Puglia can offer considerably more room for your money. And property is where the story becomes even more interesting. Bargains can be found, particularly among older or rustic homes, but there is an important warning. The purchase price is not necessarily the final price. Many traditional properties need renovation, sometimes involving kitchens, bathrooms, heating systems, or other major upgrades. So a cheap house can quickly become an expensive project if you don't budget for the work. That is actually one of the most important lessons from Puglia. The cheapest property isn't always the best retirement property. The real value comes from finding a home where the purchase price, renovation costs, location, transportation, and monthly expenses all make sense together. And that is what makes Puglia such a strong number one. The perfect retirement destination isn't the cheapest one. It's the place where your money buys you the life you actually want.